This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
What's up, everybody? Ricky Widmer here, along with the Mark Weber.
Dub them East.
And we're back for a very special edition of the Onside Kick. And last week, Brandon and I kicked off draft season here at Most Valuable Podcast with our first ever big board. You guys can check that out on the YouTube channel or mostvaluablepodcast.com or the Blog Talk Radio page for us. You can check it out everywhere, basically. So what we're doing this week is we've got our mock draft. We went through tankathon.com is where we took the order from. We're going 1 to 32. We're going to give our picks. We're going to talk about some teams, who they could draft, where they could go. But before we get into that, a little bit of housekeeping. Number one, you see this awesome shirt that I'm wearing? Well, you can get your hands on one. Down in the description are the exact step-by-step how, but first off, all you got to do is email us, mostvaluablepodcast@gmail.com. Give us your address, your name, your size. We'll get you all set up into how to buy one of these wonderful t-shirts from Most Valuable Podcast. Number two, you like what we're doing? Want to help us out? Patreon.com/Most Valuable Podcast. $10, you could be on a podcast with us. We actually had a comment, Mark. Someone wanted to come on and debate with us.
Nice.
Well, how do you do that? Patreon.com. That's how you do it. Link is down below. And then the last thing is, if you want to give us 5 stars on iTunes, it would mean the world to us. The Onside Cake, the Proud Town Podcast, the Fast Break, the Rick and Johnny Podcast. It would mean the world to us. Give us a great review. Give us those 5 stars. It would really help us in the long run. But Mark, we're going to start with the top 10 here in our mock draft. Go right through it. If you're on Blog Talk Radio, iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, you get the whole thing. If you're on YouTube, it'll be split up into 3 sections. Let's start from the top, number 1 through 10. Let's hear your first 10 picks in the NFL draft.
And I'm going to preface this by saying I am bad at names. I'm going to fuck a few of these up. So, Josh Rosen, number 1 overall to the Browns. I guess I should say the team name first for whatever reason. Number 2 for the Giants, Sam Darnold, quarterback out of USC, 2 quarterbacks. For the Colts, I'm going to have Connor Williams, the offensive tackle out of Texas. The 49ers, correct me if I'm wrong on this one, Quentin Nelson, offensive guard from Notre Dame. Broncos, Mike McGlinchey. Well, I don't know how to say McGlinchey. I'm not even going to...
McGlinchey?
I'm bad at names. Like I said, offensive tackle out of Notre Dame. Now, the Browns, their number 6 pick right now, Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Safety, cornerback, whatever he might be. We'll see. We'll talk about it, I'm sure. For the Chicago Bears, Calvin Ridley, wide receiver out of Alabama. I would love it. For the Bucks, Bradley Chubb, defensive end. And then we have for the Bengals, I love this one. I love it so much. Baker Mayfield, quarterback out of Oklahoma. Can't wait to talk about that pick. And then we got number 10, the Redskins, with Derwin James, the safety out of Florida State.
Well, and mine will just move right into it. Kind of some similar
no discussion.
faces.
We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, similar faces, but here's my top 10. We've got the Cleveland Browns, number 1, selecting Sam Darnold, quarterback out of Southern California. Then the New York Football Giants taking Josh Rosen, quarterback, UCLA. Indianapolis Colts, Bradley Chubb, defensive end, NC State. 49ers taking Minkah Fitzpatrick, like you said, cornerback safety hybrid from Alabama, the Crimson Tide. Then number 5, Denver Broncos taking Baker Mayfield, quarterback out of Oklahoma, and the Heisman winner. Then number 6, the Cleveland Browns via the Texans. They take Calvin Ridley, wide receiver, Alabama. Then the Bears go Quentin Nelson, offensive guard, Notre Dame. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Harold Landry, the outside linebacker defensive end hybrid from Boston College. Then the Bengals taking Mike McGlinchey, offensive tackle, Notre Dame. And then the Redskins rounding it all up with Derwin James, the safety from Florida State. And the thing I want to look at first is more so on the team side and more so the Cleveland Browns, because the big thing with Cleveland is, number 1, both you and I have them going quarterback. But also, as of right now, if the draft started today, Mark, they would have 2 picks inside the top 10, as they would have the Texan pick I want to first talk about with just that. Do you think the Browns in this position, obviously both of us think quarterback should be on the mind first.
For sure.
But then you have them going defense with the second pick. I have them going offense. What made you have them go with Rosen 1, go offense, but then go Fitzpatrick on the defense at 6?
Yeah, let me first go for the talk about pick number 6 before I talk about pick number 1.
Yeah.
Because I think pick number 1's a little more obvious. But for pick number 6, I mean, there's no doubt that they could go wide receiver, and it would be a good decision. Part of the reason why I think I kind of went away from that is after on Sunday watching what this team is doing with Josh Gordon and watching him come back, this is a situation where I say this is not a team that is wide receiver starved anymore. They got a wide receiver. They got him back after his long suspension, his long time, well, not really suspension, but his long time being away and kicked out of the game. And I definitely think they could go wide receiver, and it would be a great idea. But the flip side of it is you're about to get a good quarterback, in Josh Rosen. And the reason I picked Josh Rosen over Sam Darnold is because the fact that he comes in more ready to play than Sam Darnold's going to come in. And that's what the Browns need, as opposed to what the Giants need. Where the Giants say, we got Eli, this guy, even though he doesn't really need to sit, he can sit and wait. Rosen's going to be that clear-cut, I'm ready day one kind of guy. So he will actually be able to hopefully play some of these other lesser wide receivers up a little bit. And that's why I kind of figured the Browns can move away and go to the defensive side, because there's a lot of good quarterbacks in that division. There's a lot of good quarterbacks in the AFC in general, and they need somebody who can be a shutdown kind of corner, a guy who can go and really take care of his side of the field. And that's something that I think Fitzpatrick will do a really good job, being an SEC guy, being a part of a stout Alabama defense.
Yeah, and me on the other side, I mean, starting with pick 6 first. Pick 6. The thing that's
what they're hoping for out of Fitzpatrick.
The reason why I went with Calvin Ridley is, I know Josh Gordon had a good week this week, but how great would it be, hey, you know what? We're just shoring it up right away. We're going to take our quarterback of the future, pick number 1, and then we're going to go ahead and get his future number 1 target, the guy that's going to develop to be his guy. And let's be completely honest on my part. I tried so hard to be like, because Minkah Fitzpatrick was off my board before he got to the Browns. The only reason why I didn't have him going there. But I tried so hard in my mind to go, okay, who could the Browns take other than Calvin Ridley, just so the Bears could get Calvin Ridley? Because Calvin Ridley, the Bears, dream situation.
For sure.
Get the GOAT, Mitch Trubisky, the weapon that he needs offensively. I couldn't do it. That's why the Browns going with Calvin Ridley. But with Darnold to Rosen, because I like this little debate, because right now we've got Browns and Giants who could both go quarterback.
For sure.
And actually with the Browns, we already know, the reason why I didn't bring up the magical word of trade is new general manager John Dorsey, in his introductory press conference, said, we're going to find our quarterback.
Yeah.
He wants to draft a quarterback.
He said, hi, nice to meet you. I'm going to draft a quarterback.
Here's the only thing
that's simple
I think about with the Browns when it comes to quarterback at 1 of, and me and you are on 2 different sides of the table. I've described it since our big board, even a little bit before that. When you're talking Rosen Darnold, Rosen has the higher floor. Darnold has the higher ceiling. My whole thing is, a little bit of bias. I like Darnold more than Rosen. Plus, if I'm the Browns, am I expecting to win right away? Am I expecting Super Bowl right away? Or can I go, hey, this guy is going to be better, has the higher ceiling, could have the better long-term potential.
But it is Cleveland.
Let me go with him.
There's no such thing as long-term in Cleveland.
Let me go with him while I continue to build this team, because I think last year was a good starting point for building a team.
This team right now in Cleveland needs something. I know it's
Cleveland.
They need something.
I think I'll say this: whether you draft Rosen or Darnold, you have something. You have something you can cling on to.
I just think my fear out of Darnold to Cleveland is they're going to give up on him next year. or the year after that.
No, I think
because they do it. They always do it.
I think Deshaun Kaiser's that guy. Like Deshaun.
Oh, they've already given up on him. You can't walk in there day one as the GM and say, hey, my job is to find a quarterback when your quarterback that you drafted in the second round is sitting there going, I thought I was that guy. The most beautiful comment that I've seen all week was on our Browns video that we put up on Sunday, where someone said, hey, guys, the Panthers did this. The Panthers drafted Jimmy Clausen. Then the next year said, you know what, this ain't going to work. We're taking Cam Newton #1. For sure.
So, I mean, teams have done this before where they have taken a guy early, said, hey, this is our guy.
Yeah.
And then have moved on.
I just think at the same time, I mean, if they wanted to go out there, and I don't think the Browns can't, well, they can't do this because the GM just said I'm drafting a quarterback.
Yeah.
If they want to go out there and say, well, you know what, we're going to get Bradley Chubb #1 overall to really shore up this defense. And then we'll get a wide receiver with, number 6, 5, 4, whatever it might be. They can totally do that. They could have gotten away with that because they just drafted him not second overall, in the second round for Kaiser. But yeah, it's just one of those things where they need the hard refresh that they have right now.
Team I want to ask you about, and this is between yours and mine, like, I get why you made this pick, but I want to hear especially why. Colts at 3. Because two of the needs, we are hitting both two of their big needs. Do they need somebody to protect Andrew Luck when and if he gets out there? Yes. However, I look at it as to where, hey, their GM, I can't remember, not Irsay, but like the GM, loves drafting defense. Has drafted defense last year. I think like a guy like Bradley Chubb, he's not going to pass that up. What made you pick Connor Williams? Because I will say, Connor Williams coming off of a knee injury. I know he came back end of the year, but did have a knee injury end of the season.
He definitely did, but when he's healthy, he's phenomenal. I mean, this guy he will protect the blind side of Andrew Luck without a fault. I mean, Andrew Luck can go out there and know he's going to be healthy. And you mentioned going back into the history and looking at these defensive players they've taken so much. And I really think that's something that kind of cues it up for me of saying, you've done all this, and what do you have? 2 awful seasons. It's time to do something different. The big complaint we've always had is just that they never give Andrew Luck anything to work with. At least this time they're going to give him some time. That's what I'm really looking at. They're going to kill that kid. I guess I shouldn't call Andrew Luck a kid. They're going to kill that guy if he doesn't have some offensive line help. He will never actually get to play up to his potential. And there's a million miles of potential for Andrew Luck. And that's really what it came down to for me. I mean, believe me, because I had Bradley Chubb going 8 overall. It pained me to do so, to keep having teams pass up on him. And I would be surprised if it happened. I mean, it was the same thing for me for Saquon Barkley going and he's not. We're not spoiling anything. He's not off the board yet.
No, he's
from
not.
10. So those are two guys who it really pained me to do so.
With neither of us, and that's the big thing that I love about mock drafts to big boards. Because and I can spoil it now because our big board is up. With Saquon Barkley, Brandon and I were like, best player in college football. Yet neither you nor I have him in the top 10.
Yeah.
And the only teams that I'm thinking about in this top 10 that could maybe go running back are the Broncos. However, the Broncos I look at, you looked at if you look at our pick with just them, we see two different things. You're looking at, hey, let's protect what we've got at quarterback. I'm saying let's replace them because we obviously don't have the answer.
There is something else that I think is going on for my Broncos pick, too, is
a later quarterback?
I think, either a later quarterback, but I definitely think that's a possibility. I think the Broncos are the hit destination for whichever free agent quarterback is coming
Cousins.
out. Yeah, whether it's going to be Kirk Cousins, whether somehow Eli Manning ends up as a free agent quarterback, this is going to be the hot destination for one of these guys to go and say, I can win a championship because look at that defense.
Yeah.
They've got good pieces on offense. Offense needs a little bit of retweaking, but this offensive line help that I have, that's going to be the thing that really helps out, that solidifies this team and allows one of these guys to come in here like a Kirk Cousins and be successful and go compete for a championship. So, I mean, that's kind of the thing I did with the Broncos, because I did heavily debate, do I have them go with a quarterback? But then I was thinking, I know we just had our conversation about Baker Mayfield. Please go check it out.
Yep.
And the Broncos are one of those top teams of, a place where he can go, he can fit. But I just wasn't ready to pull the trigger yet on him. It didn't take me that much longer to do so.
Well, and this is another thing where Baker Mayfield, exactly where I know we talked about fits, go check that video out, but the thing where you look at my big board compared to my draft, and the thing is that first off, I don't know about you because you didn't do the big board, but this year, actually coming up with a big board of my own and then doing the mock draft kind of made the top 10 easier for me, because I'm like, you know what? I've already looked at these guys and ranked them. Like, Baker Mayfield was in my lower 20s, like 25 area.
For sure.
In my big board. But when I get to the mock draft, it's like, hey, you know what? A team is going to take a quarterback high.
Yeah.
And that's why one team, quickly kind of jumping around, the Redskins. We mentioned like you said, Broncos, destination team. I brought up Kirk Cousins, yet neither of us, and I know that everything, I should have said this at the beginning, all of this will change by the end.
Yeah, this is mock draft 1.
This is like our throw it at the wall. This is our first rough draft. Neither you nor I went bold and said, yeah, you know what? Kurt's not here next year. I know it already. Go with the quarterback.
Well,
however, I thought about putting Josh Allen here, but I'm like, I can't push Josh Allen here because Josh Allen is all about potential. And you mentioned how, Cleveland can't go with Darnold because they need a guy that can start right away. That's 10 times worse if the Redskins draft Josh Allen.
Yeah, I mean, the Redskins are a weird team where we thought they would get more out of their wide receivers this year. That looked like a strength out there, even though they made some interesting offseason moves. But that's not really what the strength is. Kirk Cousins is forcing things to work out there. I can't imagine a situation really where he's coming back. I mean, I can, but it's a little difficult where he does come back to Washington.
Maybe they overpay him.
Yeah, that's the only one I can imagine. That's a lot of money. That's really the only thing I can really expect to have happen. But I think that Washington can be a spot where I can see, a guy like Case Keenum, for example. The Vikings aren't going to pay Case Keenum.
What about Sam Bradford? That's one guy.
Sam Bradford's another one, too.
That's one guy I thought of. I was like, I could see Sam Bradford signing a contract with the Redskins.
For sure. I mean, you can even have a guy like Josh McCown if the Redskins say, we just want like a 1-year rental.
Yeah.
A
Matt Barkley, a Brian Hoyer.
Yeah.
I'm just going to name all these like backup quarterbacks.
The journeymen.
Yeah.
The journeymen. I think that the Washington Redskins
Sounds like
are going to probably
80s
be
rock
that.
band. The Journeymen.
Well, I mean, it's close enough to Journey. I just see them as that kind of team. They're a team that are going to say, we are a good team already. Let's fix the defensive backs, which is going to need some help right now, which we both agreed with.
Especially with Josh Norman's comments.
Yeah.
About how I didn't come here not to win championships.
I don't know why you really went to Washington.
Did you really think that you were going to win a championship?
Like, there were other teams you could have went to that would have given you some money.
You could have stayed with your Super Bowl caliber team.
They didn't really want him.
Not the topic, though. Not the topic.
I just don't necessarily see the Redskins being that quarterback team, especially because I just had Baker Mayfield come off the board from the Bengals.
You really think the Bengals are going to look quarterback in the top 10?
Well, the Bengals are very likely going to have a new head coach.
Okay. Well, we say that every
Marvin
year,
Lewis.
and then they don't.
Yeah, right? Eventually, it's going to happen. It's like I keep saying the Cleveland Browns are going to win a game because eventually I'm going to be right.
I don't remember who said it, but somebody was like, oh, don't worry. Marvin Lewis is just keeping John Fox's seat warm because he'll move right over from Chicago to Cincy.
Why not? Hey, Fisher's looking for a new job. He wants to give that 7-9 bullshit to somebody.
But I mean, Andy Dalton, I'm looking at his contract right now. He's locked up until, what is that, 2021?
But let's say they get a new head coach, and let's say this new head coach comes in and he does not express any confidence in Andy Dalton. Very similar to a Blake Bortles situation. New coach comes in.
I would think Andy Dalton's a lot better than Blake Bortles.
I think if you look at their numbers, they're not that far apart.
Okay.
Now, obviously, interceptions is going to be the big deal breaker on the Blake Bortles situation.
Hasn't thrown a lot this year.
He hasn't. He's been reined in, but they haven't been letting him throw the ball that much either.
Well, they got Leonard Fournette now,
so they don't need to. They've got he's getting the Mitch Trubisky rookie treatment.
Yes.
But he's not a rookie.
Yeah.
And he's got a big boy contract. You know, there's no doubt that Andy Dalton's got one of those big contracts too, but he's 30 years old. A new guy comes in and says, yeah, I don't really believe that Andy Dalton has ever been, you know, an elite quarterback, a quarterback I can win with, whatever that new head coach might say. You draft a guy like Baker Mayfield, he doesn't have to start day one.
True.
He can sit there and it can be you're going to get this job if you earn it, you know, and he's got to come and he's got to take it from Andy Dalton.
Okay.
I think that's really what it comes down to. Do I think the Bengals, you know, when we get to April, are they going to draft a quarterback in the first round? Probably not. But I think that right now, especially after watching him be terrible against Chicago, not completely his fault for sure. It's just one of these things where I'm like, this Bengals team needs something to change. And I could see a new guy coming in and saying, it's quarterback.
No, and after hearing you describe it, it kind of makes sense.
Is it going to happen? It's not very likely, but it's potential. It's possible.
You and I it's kind of like different reasons, but the same reason. And it's, you know, it's actually it just hit me. The Broncos and the Bengals were flipped. I have Baker Mayfield to the Broncos. You have him to the Bengals. You have Mike McGlinchey to the Broncos. I have him to the Bengals. So it's like
stuff. Well,
someone's protected who.
I got back-to-back Notre Dame, and then Alabama.
Last thing I want to ask you, because you're the Bears fan, before we move on to our next 11, which would be 11 through 21, I want to ask you how happy you would be if Roger Goodell goes up and says, the Bears select at number 7, Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, I'd have
Would you think of Kevin White at all?
No, I don't think I would think of Kevin White, because Kevin White was a very special circumstance of just could never play. He just wasn't healthy. I'd be a little upset. I'd have to return my newly bought Kevin White Chicago Bears jersey. Or not Kevin White, because you just said it. My White, Wright, Kendall Wright.
Yes.
These names are too similar. You know, I have to return that I just bought after he got over 100 yards in the game.
Question, do you have a Devin Hester jersey?
I did at one time.
Because I was going to say, I'm surprised you didn't wear it today.
No, I did have a Devin Hester jersey at one time. I don't have it anymore.
After he left, you're like, burned it.
No, it doesn't fit anymore. I mean, I bought it when I was probably like, what was I, a freshman or a sophomore in high school?
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, 2006.
That was a long time ago. Wow, we're getting old, Mark.
I mean, I actually thought about that when I saw someone post like their Devin Hester jersey, and I'm like, yeah. Well, you know what? I actually don't own a single Chicago Bears jersey right now. Because the last Chicago Bears jersey I bought was a Julius Peppers jersey.
See, and that's why
then I stopped.
The only Viking jersey I have right now, Randy Moss. Can't go wrong with Randy Moss.
Well, I do want a Mitch Trubisky jersey. I was going to ask for it for Christmas.
That's why you go with like a Walter Payton jersey or like one of the greats.
Yeah, like the greats are nice, but I feel like it's kind of a cop-out at the same time. It's like wearing a Michael Jordan jersey to a Bulls game, you know?
Okay.
You're one of those.
Let's not say anything we can't take back.
No,
greatest of all time.
No, I'm not saying that. There's like 30,000 people there, and 15,000 of them are wearing a Michael Jordan jersey.
Because he's the greatest player of all time.
Yeah, exactly. Be original. Get a Derrick Rose jersey.
Any final things you want to say about anybody in the top 10 before we move on?
No, the only other thing that I would say is you can tell the things that I'm looking for. Obviously, quarterbacks was important, but it's protecting those quarterbacks that I think was really valuable. You have a big run on tackle, guard, tackle, right in the heart of it, and I think that there's a lot of value to that because the NFL is becoming very pass rusher and edge rusher happy. Everybody wants that key guy who can disrupt. So I think that once again, offensive line is really important.
Well, this is where if you're on YouTube, you guys come in, let us know what you guys think down below in the comments section. What do you think of our picks? What do you not think of our picks? And if one of these teams is your favorite teams, who are you looking for them to draft if they end up here in the NFL draft? But Mark, let's move on. We're going to 11 through 21. we'll start with you. Take us through your picks. Start with the New York Jets at number 11.
Yeah, so the New York Football Jets are going to take a football player, Josh Allen, the quarterback out of Wyoming. And I'll just run down. We'll explain the picks later for those of you coming in for the first time. Then for the Cardinals at 12, Orlando Brown, the tackle out of Oklahoma. The Raiders going to take Denzel Ward, cornerback. Then we're going to go ahead with the Dolphins at 14, taking Saquon Barkley, running back out of Penn State. And the Chargers at 15, Martinez Rankin, the tackle out of Mississippi State. Good old Ole Miss. We have number 16, the Cowboys taking Vita Vea.
Vita Vea.
Vita Vea. Damn it, I knew I was going to say it wrong.
Vita
Coming
Vea.
in, I knew how to say it, and then we talked.
Vita Vea.
The
I love that
defensive
name.
tackle out of Washington. 17 is going to be Harold Landry. He can stand up. He can be on the ground, whatever. He's going to do something. He's going to come at your quarterback. Boston College. Now, this is a special one for us here at MVP. At 18, the Bills are going to take friend of the show, Mo Hurst, defensive lineman out of Michigan. Then we have at 19, the Green Bay Packers going to take Christian Kirk, wide receiver out of Texas A&M. Then we have a couple more. 20, Seahawks are going to take Josh Jackson, the cornerback out of Iowa. And then finally, the Ravens, Cortland Sutton, wide receiver, SMU.
And then we're going to move right into my New York Jets 11. They're going to take Saquon Barkley out of Penn State. Then the Arizona Cardinals taking quarterback out of Wyoming, Josh Allen. The Raiders, just like Mark had him, going Denzel Ward, cornerback out of, I'm surprised you didn't say it, Mark, the Ohio State University.
I wasn't interested in that.
Then number 14, the Dolphins take Rashaan Evans, inside linebacker, Alabama. The Chargers go offensive tackle, Orlando Brown from Oklahoma. Cowboys, just like Mark had, Vita Vea, defensive tackle out of Washington. Lions going Arden Key, defensive end, LSU. Christian Wilkins, the defensive lineman, Clemson, going 18 to the Bills. The Packers taking Josh Jackson, the cornerback out of Iowa. I said that weird because I wanted to say Johnson, but then it came out Jackson.
Jack Johnson.
Then we have Connor Williams, offensive tackle in Texas, going to the Seahawks. And then Cortland Sutton, wide receiver, SMU, going to the Ravens. First one I want to talk about is the Jets, because if my memory serves me correctly, because I looked at the spot rack earlier today for them, I believe of their quarterbacks, McCown is gone. Basically, it's Christian Hackenberg is one of their main quarterbacks that is there to stay. What do you think the Jets should do? Obviously, you go quarterback, but why Josh Allen? Because Josh Allen is the big one that everyone's saying potential needs to sit a couple years. Do the Jets have that ability, or could they afford him that luxury?
Well, I think that the first thing that the Jets need to do is they need to cut Christian Hackenberg. Just get rid of him. There's no reason for him to be there.
Okay.
I do think that second of all, though, they should re-sign Josh McCown. Nothing crazy. You know, we're not doing a Fitzmagic-like thing where we're expecting him to. Well, I'm saying Fitzpatrick because they re-signed him finally after all that debacle, and then he was bad.
What about a Mike Glennon deal?
Well, no,
you got 2 years, but could be out after
sure,
one.
it's more money than you would want to pay Josh McCown for sure.
I'm just saying structure.
And I'm just saying from the Fitzpatrick comparison, we're hoping it's not that because you paid him a good amount of money to go and be shitty. Josh Allen, the reason why I think he would work for the Jets.
They got Bryce Petty.
Yeah, sure. The reason I think he could potentially work for the Jets is because they could get that journeyman. They've been so used to it that I think they're okay with one again, while a guy like Josh Allen potentially just sits and learns a little bit. Now, if you're going to get him and you're going to force him to go out there and start day one, you're going to probably run into some issues. But I do think he can be good. This season has not been a great season for him, but 2 seasons ago, guy was looking great. You know, he was looking like he could be a NFL starting quarterback. And part of it's kind of, I guess, a little bit hopeful for some of these teams. You know, any team that's going to consider Josh Allen is just going to have to hope that he can get back to 2015 season. You know, or I guess, I'm sorry, 2016 season, not 2017 season.
The thing I will say to defend Josh Allen,
he lost a lot of pieces.
He lost a lot of talent. And I mean, He's a guy then where it's like, okay, you better put talent around him.
Well, they've got talent in New York.
Well, on the offensive side, do they really have the talent that is going to? I mean, Matt Forte's old.
But they've been looking actually better than what a lot of people expected them to be.
I thought they'd be 0-16.
Yeah, and they can get more. They can because I think they impressed some people. They surprised some people, so people will want to play for New York. And I think that they can go in there with the luxury of not having to start him day one. Your situation is a little similar with depending on what Carson Palmer decides to do. But if Carson Palmer doesn't come back, if he decides to retire, then in that case, Josh Allen is a risky move just because he will have to play day one. And that's what you want to avoid a little bit. I do, however, want to say, we have quite a few so far. We have 3 quarterbacks going.
I have 4.
This is quarterback number 4 going. This could potentially resemble some of those years that we remember, the 2013, 14 type of drafts, where a lot of quarterbacks went and not a lot of them stuck.
I'll be completely honest. Before the Monday night game is when I went through my mock draft, and I went through it earlier that day, and I said, okay, this is what it is. And I originally had Josh Allen where I have him, 12 to the Dolphins at the time. Dolphins win, they move to 14. And that's the thing. Like, first with the Jets, with me, I go Saquon Barkley because it's like, you know what? If I want to re-sign a Josh McCown, I can do so. I have Christian Hackenberg. Saquon Barkley's the guy where it's like, I look at what I've got right now, and I can, let's be completely honest, Jets are not winning the Super Bowl next year. I'm sorry, New York Jet fans, I just broke your heart. However, you're not winning the Super Bowl next year, even if you do draft a Josh Allen. And I just look at it and go, you know what? I'll look at quarterback later. I'll look at quarterback in free agency. I'll look at quarterback somewhere else, maybe re-sign Josh McCown. Let me go with Saquon Barkley because right now at running back, I've got Matt Forte, who's old as shit, and I've got Bilal Powell, who, you're looking and you're like, but Ricky's got 537 yards. Whatever. Saquon Barkley could, Saquon Barkley in the NFL, look at what Leonard Fournette's doing. The big difference with Barkley, he'll do that on the ground, then he'll catch the ball out of the backfield. Dual threat. You got a pass catcher out of the backfield. You got a guy who can run the ball. You got a jack of all trades. That's why I take him. And then with the Cardinals, they're kind of in an interesting situation because they were the team I was thinking of. After this year, Barkley's off. Yo Gabba Gabba's off. Drew Stanton's off. The only quarterback they have on the roster right now that's going to be into next year is Carson Palmer. And I look at that and I go, you know what? This is what I do. I draft Josh Allen to at least sit 1 year, and I bring in a veteran, whether I re-sign a Blaine Gabbert, re-sign a Sparkles Barkles, to be the backup in case Carson Palmer goes down again. But then I have my answer for the future in Josh Allen.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, the Cardinals are another one of those teams where I could see that being a destination for, let's say, a Case Keenum. A guy who you don't sign to a huge deal.
A journeyman quarterback?
Yeah, a journeyman who just had some success and can come in and hopefully continue that on a team that should hopefully be pretty decent.
I mean, let's be completely honest. Case Keenum, before Bradford went down, he was a backup this year.
Yeah.
He'd signed a backup contract, was expected to be the backup, and is only playing because Sam Bradford is injured.
And now he's about to go get paid.
Yeah.
I think that the Cardinals can get away with doing something like that. For them, I go just for, once again, it's they need help at the line. They need help on the offensive line to keep their quarterbacks healthy, especially when you got an old quarterback like Carson Palmer, or if you get that young quarterback, you want to keep him healthy, you want to get time. The best friend for a young quarterback is time in the pocket.
You know what's another interesting one?
What's that?
And this is another need for the Cardinals, and where both of us have him going next. Do you think there could be an option where the Cardinals go, you know what? We need a quarterback, but I'm not sold on Allen, or Lamar Jackson is still out there, or Mason Rudolph is still available at that point. And we can go offensive tackle, but do I want to use a pick on one this early? is there a scenario where they go, hey, you know what? We need to add something at cornerback. Let's get a Denzel Ward.
Well, sure, they could, for sure. I think, for me, what stands out to me is this Arizona team has had a lot of really good pieces on defense. And I can certainly see them going and trying to upgrade, going and trying to bolster that and just kind of get some depth as well. But it's not what I would consider one of the top pressing needs. I mean, for me, I really see this offensive line as being an issue, and I see that as being, if you don't fix this team is not getting better. Or at least you can get around a defensive back.
One prospect I wanted to ask you about, and this is the only time, one of the only times where, because like when we started recording this podcast, I made, like I said to you, hey, you know what? We're really not going to focus in on the exact players. We're going to look at more fits, because obviously the players will be Brandon and I on the Primetime podcast. However, the one guy I have to ask about, because on mine he's taken 17th by the Lions. I want to say on yours he's still available. I don't know where he's going, but I think he's still available, and that's Arden Key. Do you think this is a guy where right now we have him 17th and below because of everything that went on this season? I mean, the shoulder injury that he's going through, I believe he had a second injury later in the season, and everything that went on where he came back to the team in the spring, and everyone thought, we included, because I did a segment on it, where, okay, he's going to be one of the top pass rushers in this draft.
Yeah, I mean, injuries are always going to be an issue, but at the same time, it's kind of up in the air of how much you weigh an injury. Because, I mean, you look at me, I have Connor Williams going number 3 overall. This is mock draft number 1. Things are going to change. A lot of things end up coming later on for these injured guys, where at the beginning you don't necessarily know how much to weigh that in. For a guy like Key, I think it weighed in a little bit more in my decision when I'm comparing him to, like a Harold Landry, a Mo Hurst, friend of the show, a Bradley Chubb, who obviously is going to be miles ahead in the draft. Those are the kind of things where it allowed me to push him back a little bit. But really, I think for a lot of these teams towards the back is when you get these teams that are desperate for pass rushing help or who really need to, get some of those linebackers, some of those hybrid type of guys. I think you'd run into a little bit more of that towards the back half.
And the thing that bringing Connor Williams back into it, because the injury thing, the thing that, like, the whole reason why I wasn't a person that would jump all over you for having him so high at 3 is because, he injured his knee, but he came back at the end of the season and played well.
Which that's a big part of it.
If he never came back, then it's like, okay, what do we see? But the thing with Arden Key, and I did look it up, was he came back and everyone's like, okay, he's going to be a dominant pass rusher. Has surgery on his shoulder, misses 8 games to start the season, then comes back, but then misses the final 2 because of a knee injury. So it's like, okay, now I don't need to. The combine's going to be huge for him.
For sure. For any guy who has an injury, it's big.
But like looking at a team like you said, where it's like teams are going to get desperate, I think the Lions, they need a pass rusher. They need one. That's why I had them going Arden Key. You obviously had them going Harold Landry. But one of the most confusing picks in this range for me were the Packers. Because what do? Do you give Aaron Rodgers a weapon? Because the whole, I believe it's a contract with Devontae Adams, they're going to have to figure out what to do or find a replacement. Or do you say, hey, you know what? Our secondary has been Swiss cheese forever. Yeah. We got to get a guy. We got a Demarius Randall either, I want to say, 2 years ago, but let's go back to the well and get another defensive back so that we can shore up that secondary for our offense.
Yeah, I think that's certainly a clear, easy way to go on the defense side, defensive side of the ball. But I think a couple things are gonna weigh onto this. Obviously, with that contract is a big one. The other side of it, and what people are very curious about, is when you're looking at this team and which one of these good players might not still be around. You got to look at a Cobb to say, will this be a cap casualty? Is this somebody who we can get rid of Not because we want to, but because we feel like we have to. And Christian Kirk is a perfect guy to play in a slot position. A guy who can be quick, a guy who can, honestly, you could probably line him up in the backfield or, as a running back and play around with that because you know that the Green Bay Packers love doing that. I think he is a creative pick. He's going to allow the play calling to get interesting. Is it the greatest pick in the world? I don't know. There's other things that they certainly could do. Is there the potential that he could not even, and I do think that Christian Kirk is one of these guys that he might not be in the first round. And if it's not the Packers taking him, I don't really know who else will. But I think that he fits this team well, and I think that he would be such a valuable weapon for Aaron Rodgers that when I think about the Packers, I can't pass this one up. It feels too good to me.
Yeah, and I'm on, obviously, there were part of me that the Cortland Sutton that I had going to the Ravens, and you did too, I sat there long and hard and was like, Sutton's a deep threat. Let's give Aaron Rodgers a deep threat. Let's give him a guy that, and more so like Devonta Adams, and that's if they're going to move away from him after that contract, but I couldn't. I had to sit there and go, we need to shore up this defense because if you look at what has happened, let's take two sides of the coin. Either one, look at what's happened in Minnesota. Mike Zimmer's come in, built a defense. We are talking Vikings in a Super Bowl contention. Or you look at it and say, hey, you know what? Matthew Stafford's on one of the teams we see twice a year. The Vikings, Case Keenum's good, but he's not one of the...
You're hoping for Teddy Bridgewater to come back.
Teddy Bridgewater, but we don't know what we're going to get when he comes back. And then you look at the Bears, they have one of the new hot shots. Do we really want to keep this defense and just, like that car that needs a repair, I can make it a couple more miles before I do this, and then eventually the car just kaputs on you.
Yeah, and it's tough because it's not really... It's never the thing that you know the Packers for. For the Packers, this high-powered offense.
Yeah.
But they've had good defense. When they won a Super Bowl, they had a good defense in a run game.
Yep.
And that's something that they've ignored since.
One team I want to ask you about, and this will probably wrap up this section of it, is the Dolphins. Because, like I said originally, before they beat the Patriots... They were at 12, and I had them pegged for Josh Allen. Thing I want to ask you, because this both happened in our scenario. Josh Allen's off the board, fourth quarterback. Do the Dolphins, you had him go Saquon Barkley, obviously to replace the Jay Ajayi that they traded this offseason. I had them go linebacker just only because I don't know if they do this reach. Do you see the Dolphins? Because I think the Dolphins are another team like the Cardinals, where the only guy they got coming back is their guy in Ryan Tannehill. Plus, there's a potential out for Tannehill's contract at the end of end of next year. Do they draft a quarterback this high, depending on what they want to do with Tannehill? Because Tannehill would be coming back off of a season-ending injury he had in the offseason.
No, I can't imagine that they would draft a quarterback in the first round. There's no reason for them to. I think this year essentially was a wash. This is a mulligan year for Gase, for Tannehill, for everybody.
Jay Cutler's not coming back. He was a one-year rental.
They dragged him out of retirement, and he was like, fine.
For $10,000? Whatever.
Yeah, right.
You're telling me I get $10,000 and I get to beat Tom Brady in Miami? Deal.
Yeah, Jay Cutler's good for one of those big surprise games. That was it.
I'll throw 2 picks at least next week.
Right. I mean, my favorite Jay Cutler moment will always be beating Green Bay in Lambeau Thanksgiving, because he's good for one of those games every year, especially when he comes off an injury.
And then you just get the Jay Cutler supporters like cockroaches coming out of the woodworks.
Like I told you, he was good. Still, Bears' best quarterback in history. But you know what? They got the GOAT now. So anyways.
That's going to change real quick.
Well, it's the GOAT. So for me, it's just very simple. I mean, when they made this trade to get rid of this hot running back, even the coach was saying, I don't really get why we did this. To me, that's a clear cut. We're going to address this in the offseason. We're going to go and get a running back, especially because it's not performance that they didn't really like out of him. It was more of locker room issues and things like that. So, go get a guy like Barkley, a guy who is not going to give you those issues. He's going to come back, and he's going to help out with Tannehill coming back and hopefully being healthy enough to play. They've got the good wide receivers already. They'll be good to go.
Landry balled out yesterday.
Yeah.
Completely balled out against the Patriots.
They'll be good to go.
Any final things, any teams you think we didn't hit in this 11 through 21 range that you quickly say, I want to hit this team real quick?
No, just, really quickly I'll say for the Seahawks, with my Josh Jackson pick.
Is that a Richard Sherman pick?
It's essentially a replacing Richard Sherman pick.
Okay.
We'll see what happens, but, we talk about it all the time about Richard Sherman possibly being gone, and we'll see. We'll see.
I thought about it, but to me, the next best quarterback I had was Isaiah Oliver. I couldn't have him go as high as 20. That's the only reason why I had them go Connor Williams to basically protect Russell
Which
Wilson.
They desperately need that too. But you know what? He can just run in the backfield. It's okay.
Well, and this is where, if you're on YouTube, let us know what you guys think down below in the comment section. What do you think about the picks here from 11 to 21? Also, if your favorite team is in this range, what do you want to see them do? What do you think your team has to do in this first round of the NFL draft? Let us know what you guys think down below in the comment section. But Mark, let's close out our draft before we make our picks for week 14. Don't forget, we are doing that still at the end of the podcast, even though this is our mock draft, first one of the season. Let's go 22 through 32, rounding out the first round. We'll start with you. Who do you got? Who are the Bills taking for the Chiefs?
All right, so the Bills, instead of the Chiefs, are going to take Rashaan Evans, linebacker out of Alabama. I'm going to have for the Falcons, Christian Wilkins, defensive line, Clemson. I love this one. To the Saints at 24, Deron Payne, defensive tackle.
Bringing the pain.
It's the best name for a football player, especially a defensive tackle. The only thing that can maybe be better, linebacker, being named Payne. This is the one that I know you've been waiting for. 25 for the Titans. This is Arden Key, the defensive end out of LSU. Jaguars are going to take James Washington, the wide receiver out of OK State. The Rams, Tarvarius McFadden, cornerback, FSU. 28 for the Panthers, I got Tremaine Edmonds, linebacker out of Virginia Tech. This one's a good one. The Vikings, Lamar Jackson, quarterback out of Louisville.
Because we need another Louisville quarterback.
You're familiar with those. At 30 for the Patriots, I got Isaiah Oliver, the cornerback out of Colorado. Then Eagles, Jamarco Jones, tackle, Ohio State. The Ohio State. And then finally, 32 for the Steelers, Raquan Smith, linebacker out of Georgia.
You know what's the one thing I will say? Although I know they're the Ohio State University, it bugs me when I see people put lowercase, like instead of OSU, they put a lowercase t in front of it, so it's TOSU.
Yeah,
it just kind of bugs me. It's like, I get you're the Ohio State, but we can't be changing everything for you. But let's get into my 22 through 32. We'll start off.
And then it looks like toasty.
The Bills for the Chiefs. They are drafting Deron Payne, the defensive tackle from Alabama. Then we got Mo Hurst, friend of the show, going to Atlanta. I hope he likes it down there in Georgia because he's going to the Atlanta Falcons at number 23. Number 24, the Saints going with Tremaine Edmonds, outside linebacker from my Hokies. I like my Illini, but my Hokies as well. They're one of my teams. And then the Tennessee Titans at 25, taking Clelin Ferrell, defensive end from Clemson, a name I screwed up on our big board. I said Chillin in the big board. Chillin Ferrell. Number 26, the Jaguars taking James Washington, wide receiver, Oklahoma State. The Rams going cornerback from Colorado, Isaiah Oliver. Panthers go Martinez Rankin, offensive tackle, Mississippi State. Then the fun name, the one I'm probably going to screw up, Chukwumba Okafor, offensive tackle, Western Michigan University to the Vikings. Then the Patriots take Travarius McFadden, cornerback, Florida State. Eagles go Raquan Smith, linebacker from Georgia. And the Steelers round out the first round with the quarterback from Louisville, Lamar Action Jackson. And that's actually the first one I want to talk about is I know I said we weren't going to talk about mainly guys in general, but I think we have to at this point. Lamar Jackson. Why'd you have him go to the Vikings, and where do you think, what team, especially in this range, because both of us had him in it, would be the best fit for him if you don't believe the best fit is where he is right now?
Well, the first thing I want to say is I want to give a bonus question.
To me?
Not to you, to the listeners, based off of something that you actually had said. What I want to ask is, for the people who are fans of college football and college sports in general, does it pain you that Ricky said my team to a school he didn't go to? I don't care.
I guess
don't
some
care.
people would.
Because some people do get mad. I just get curious when you said it, like what people would think and what they would say about that. Because I know some people will get kind of up in arms of, whoa, that's not your alma mater. You're not allowed to say that. Personally, I think it's stupid. But people will go ahead and say that.
Can I chime in one thing?
Sure.
The only reason why I say my team, I've liked this team since around the late 90s, early 2000s, since Michael Vick was there. So I think I put in enough work to say my team.
Yeah,
that's the only reason I say that.
I'm okay with it. It doesn't
I was
bother
a
me.
kid when I started liking this team. I used to be an Auburn fan too. And then I was like,
I think that's a fun thing. I am glad I didn't go to one of these big schools that has, even though I always say, like, I don't know why I didn't because I love football so much.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I didn't because it allows me to just not care and just enjoy the team. I can't watch football without having feelings about teams. I can watch college football without really caring about the outcome one way or the other. Anyways.
But Lamar Jackson.
The reason I have Lamar Jackson here is what they kind of lack in Minnesota is the dynamic aspect of this position. Now, part of me wants to say, when they had a great rusher in Adrian Peterson, things were great, but it looks like you've already replaced that. What I think would be phenomenal is because Lamar Jackson needs a little bit of help on his passing skills. We'll say that.
Little inaccurate.
Yeah. And I know that's a little bit of a change from like a Teddy Two Gloves, the man who wears two gloves because it makes him more accurate.
Hell yeah. Bridge over troubled waters.
Yeah. Even Case Keenum being a very accurate guy. Sam Bradford, very accurate. That's what they've gone for. So this is a little bit of a change in direction. But you can afford to be a little less accurate when your legs scare the defense. And that's what this is. Having this mobile quarterback, I think, changes Minnesota. And what we might see out of Minnesota in the playoffs is a team that has a really good defense, but their quarterback can't put them over the edge. Lamar Jackson is that guy who I believe can put a team like Minnesota, who's already good, over the edge because he can go and he can get it done himself.
See, I am in... there's a little situation that I'm sitting at right here. And first off, the one thing that I'm looking at is the Bills. I could have had them go with... Now, the interesting thing, if you're watching this and you're like, hey, Ricky, I'm a Bills fan. You had us go defensive line with... You had us go earlier with Wilkins. Now you had us go with also Daron Payne. That's right. I had you go double defensive tackle, defensive line, so you can shore that up. They could be a team that's looking for quarterback. Like I mentioned to Brandon, because me and him talked about Lamar Jackson on the Primetime podcast this week, and he went on a Bills rant because of this. Oh, it's great. It's on the YouTube channel. Check it out. But from what I said, we've talked about this before. Nathan Peterman's not the guy.
Nope.
They hate Tyrod Taylor.
It's for some reason.
The Bills could take him. The Bills could draft Lamar Jackson, and I think that'd be horrible. I don't think he'd be able to do anything. I would like to see him go to a Minnesota, even though I don't think we take quarterback. A New England, a team that Brandon brought up. Or like me, the thing I look at is I'm like, okay, he's not the same size as Big Ben, but what does Big Ben do? He can throw the ball, and with Big Ben, like he showed the other night with the Ravens, is the kind of, like he has Antonio Brown there right now, which Lamar Jackson would have. And like Big Ben can just go, I'm going to throw it. I'm going to throw it in the vicinity
Yeah.
And my guy's going to go up and get it. I also have a running back behind me, which Le'Veon Bell would help him out there. But I feel like the skill set with Big Ben and Lamar Jackson, just on the simplest plane of they can both throw and use their legs, that's the place I would like to see him go. And Lamar Jackson, I feel like, would come into that locker room and completely buy into that Steeler culture and become a Pittsburgh Steeler, which would mean you'd love him or hate him.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I think I can totally see it happening with the Bills, but I think it's too early. This is one of those ones where I have him in the first round. I can almost guarantee you, mock draft 2, he's probably not in the first round. He might be, but he's probably not. I think more things are going to happen, and we'll have the climbers, we'll have the fallers, and I don't know that Lamar Jackson's going to be managing to stick around. It's tough when I try and find another place for him to go. If it's going to be in the first round, it has to be at the end here. The only team I can see maybe having it happen is the Jaguars. I don't know if Tom Coughlin's really that into it. I just don't see him being the guy who's that into a mobile quarterback.
Yeah, I think they're buying in on Blake Bortles with a leash.
I don't think they're going to buy into Blake Bortles either. I do think they'll try and figure something out, but I don't think that Lamar Jackson's that kind of guy. Then you come back into the second round, and you got teams like the Browns and the Giants that already did it. The Colts don't need one because they got Andrew Luck. The 49ers, they got Jimmy Garoppolo. The Broncos are the interesting one because a thing that John Elway liked out of Paxton Lynch was the potential for his arm. I don't think we have that out of Lamar Jackson, but he does show that he is willing to have a mobile quarterback who might have questions about arm accuracy, strength, and things like that. So I think the Broncos become a very interesting one. But honestly, I don't really know right now where he's going to fit in that well because I think a lot of the teams he would have fit in pretty well with already had the quarterback figured out.
Let me ask you this. What about the Saints? And the only reason I say that is, and I mentioned this on the Primetime podcast, I'm not saying that, hey, that's a perfect fit, but it's one where, hey, you need to work on your accuracy. We're going to let you work on that accuracy. You can sit behind Drew Brees for however long we have him, and you get to work with a coach. Well, knock on wood, he gets to work on a coach like Sean Payton could leave any day, but you get to work with a coach like Sean Payton in a team that defensively is a lot better than it was a year ago.
Yeah, I think the Saints are hoping that Baker Mayfield manages to still be there when they pick.
True.
I think the Saints are built better for strong arm type of quarterback, big
pro style
guy.
quarterback.
Yeah, could it happen? Sure.
Dual threat.
I just don't buy it. Not that I don't buy it. It's just not what I expect, I guess.
I will ask you this. Any team, because when we get to this point in the first mock draft of the year, like this is the most interesting part of our mock draft because, yes, these are playoff teams. Eagles are in the playoffs. Vikings are going to be in the playoffs. Steelers, Patriots. But like those other teams, like the Bills could fall out. The Falcons could fall out.
Yeah, for sure.
Are there any of these teams that you're looking at? Hell, the Rams could still fall out and the Seahawks could move into this bracket with how everything goes. Is there any team in this bracket that you're looking at where it's like, hey, I want to talk about this team? I want to look at this team right now.
Well, I think what'll be interesting, you talk about teams falling in and out. I expect the Seahawks to get into the playoffs, which are going to bring them up.
Bring them into this bracket.
Yeah, I kind of expect the Falcons on the flip side to fall out of the playoffs, things like that. So that's certainly going to change some things. What I think is going to be interesting to me is a team like the Rams, which should be a clear cut. They should take defensive backs. That should be what they go for. But at the same side of that, this is a team that has such a high-powered offense. I wonder, do they just try and put their pedal to the metal and just go even further in on offense? Because yes, they need this defensive. They need something on defense to stop opposing teams.
That's what I say. You go with your cornerback.
I think they could be a team that tries to make that splash with yet another wide receiver.
See, I don't think because right now
it's not a need; it's a luxury.
Well, I mean,
but I think they could go for it. I think they could try and do it.
I'm looking at what we have. Both of us have Washington going right before him.
Mm-hmm.
Sutton's off the board, especially on yours. Kirk is off the board. Like on mine, the top wide receiver is Christian Kirk, who's better as a slot guy, which I'll be completely honest, if you're going to draft Christian Kirk, and this, I don't care how this sounds, you already have that in Cooper Kupp. You have Watkins if you keep him. You have Robert Woods. They're doing good for you. You have Cooper Kupp, who's been doing good for you, who was playing like a number one wide receiver when Sammy Watkins was out because he always misses games during a year. I just don't think you need to do that if you're the Rams.
No, like I said, it's not something they need to do. I just could see it being that luxury of, let's go for it because, it's the Rams, greatest show on turf. Let's go out there and let's be that.
The only other pick I would have made for them right now, if I switched Oliver out from the Rams, would be Matthias Rankin. Part of me was like, you know what, let's have him go offensive tackle, protect Jared Goff. But then I was like, you know what? No, go with that top tier cornerback, get that guy so that you can shore up that defense because you're going to be the greatest show. Like, you're the Rams. You're supposed to be the greatest show on turf, but you don't want to be like I say this like people are going to say, oh, but Ricky, it's Titletown. They've been doing. You don't want to be like the Green Bay Packers where we're talking about your Swiss cheese secondary. Yeah. You want to have a decent defense all the way through because right now, and I know Green Bay fans are going to say, but Ricky, it's because our quarterback got injured. Wah, excuses. Who's leading the division right now? The team with a true defense, not the team with Aaron Rodgers.
For sure, and like we said in the past, I mean, the thing that always blows my mind is the Packers back-to-back had two of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers.
2 Super Bowls.
Only 2 Super Bowls. And Super Bowls are hard to win. I'm not trying to discredit that fact.
Are we going to turn into, I don't know if your dad's like this, but my dad is, we're going to turn into the dad excuse of defense wins championships.
Well, they always say defense wins championships. And it's not necessarily wrong, but...
Like the Geico commercial,
a good team
win
wins.
championships. But they do.
A good team is going to win. That's what matters. I think it was, I forget who it was who said it, but someone said the defense wins championships. And the response on, it was probably ESPN, was, well, the team with the better... the better defense or the better offense or the better special teams, they should win.
Yeah.
If you're better, you should win, right? There's your John Madden moment of the day.
And that's how you play football. Boom.
Yeah, exactly. So I do think, though, that Saints are an interesting one here because we both have them going with the defense, which is something that we always talk about how they need. They've got a young defense right now. It's interesting because, like I said, they really are hoping and really wishing that Baker Mayfield's going to be there at the end of the first round, which is totally possible.
Well, for me, it was interesting because they need a quarterback is one of their top needs. But to me, it goes linebacker, quarterback, and then cornerback. And the one thing I think of is you just went cornerback last year with Marshawn Lattimore. You went with Lattimore. You also went with, I want to say it was Rankin on the, Sheldon Rankin on the defensive line. So you shored up those 2 spots. If you're going to go defense, go with a linebacker position. However, like you said, if Baker Mayfield's here, take him.
They could even get Josh Allen.
At this point, I don't think Baker Mayfield falls out of the top 10. I think he'll be a top 10 pick.
I think a lot is going to come with those interviews. It depends on how GMs feel about him.
Everyone that's been talking about him are saying he's going to knock it out of the ballpark. So that's just going to help him even more. Might be a top 5 sure pick.
Potentially. They could go with Josh Allen as well.
Which screws the Saints. Do you see Josh Allen falling this far?
Yeah, I think it could.
Because both of us had him in the upper
Yeah, I
group.
had him at 11? It's certainly possible, and that's one of the hard things, I think teams remember those years of quarterbacks like Blaine Gabbert, things like that, guys who shouldn't be taken as early as they were, but because people were so desperate, And that's why, recent years we've seen teams try to avoid.
The Christian Ponder, Jake Locker year, too.
Yeah. That's always a big one.
I remember,
and none of those guys are around.
Story time with Papa Widmer really quick. I will always remember that because I literally saw it play out in front of my face that the Vikings were like, okay, we're going to take Jake Locker. We really, 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 really like Jake Locker. And then what happened? Oh, shoot. Jake Locker got taken. Panic button. Christian Ponder.
This guy's good, too. Mm-hmm. I remember liking Jake Locker.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing happened out of that. He did not go anywhere. Tennessee, right? Tennessee drafted him?
Yes, they did. Yeah. And then he got injured, and now he's out of the league. Any final team you want to hit before it? The camera turned off. That's faux pas on me. Should have been checking the battery. I got the backup right behind us.
There you go.
I could have plugged it in before this segment.
Point at the battery again so everybody watching at home can see where it's at.
If you're on YouTube, you're looking at our logo right now, but any final team you want to look at?
The only thing, I'm not going to talk about a specific team. Mm-hmm. This is the hardest part because teams can win and lose at the top, sure, but this is the hardest part because
it's the first one?
Well, no, this is the hardest. Draft? Well, I mean, part of that too, but because we haven't gotten to the playoffs, we haven't gotten to the end, this is going to shift so much.
Yeah.
The Eagles just lost Carson Wentz. They're going to drop. They could be a one and done in the playoffs, very, very possible in that case. So a lot of things can change right here. So it's just going to be the thing I say, if you're angry about who the Vikings picked or the Patriots or the Steelers, the Rams, the Jaguars, just hold on because things are going to change when your team moves up or down.
Mm-hmm. Well, and this is where I want you guys to come in. Let us know. I'm still pointing at the camera. I'm going to say this. Johnny did this too because on Sunday when we recorded the Rick and Jay podcast, I forgot the memory card at home.
Oh,
and we did it straight audio. So if you're watching Rick and Johnny's this week, no video. But Johnny still, when I said, what's up, everyone, he waved at the camera.
Good.
And he looked at it. He's like, I'm trained to do it at this point.
Just staying in practice.
But let us know what you guys think down below as I do it again. In the comment section, what do you think about our picks through 22 through 32? But Mark, let's make our picks to end the podcast. And if you're on YouTube, the funniest thing, what's the funniest thing, Mark?
What's that?
If someone's watching the full podcast right now on YouTube, they were looking at the logo and then oh, they're back.
We're back.
Ricky
nice to see you.
Ricky put in the right battery. And yes, Ricky is talking in the third person. He's going to stop now because it's kind of cringeworthy to do so. But we're making our picks for Week 15. We got some Saturday games this week.
Yeah, it's always
Saturday
weird
games.
that first time you get a Saturday game.
It's super weird. And I get there's crappy bowl games on. I'm going to be watching this over the crappy bowl games. But if I was in my fantasy football championship, it would really, really throw me off. But let's start off with our picks. We got the Broncos. We got the Colts. Thursday night football. No one's probably going to watch this game. Broncos, 2.5-point favorites. Who you got? This is top 5 pick worthy. Loser gets a higher pick.
This is one of those classic I really couldn't care any less type of games.
When it'd be Bills Jets late in the year and it's you're both top 10 picks.
Yeah, I mean you look at this and there's over 3,000 tickets available from $4. You can give them a $5 and you'll get change back for your ticket. I'm going to go with the Colts because they're the home team. I mean, that's really the reason why.
They're coming off a brutal loss. I wanted that game to end in a tie, by the way. The Bills-Colts.
I
wanted 0-0 tie. That's what I was rooting
First of all, Saturday I wake up. I think it was Saturday. And I wake up and I'm ready to let my dog out. And I'm like, what the hell? There's snow. And it was just the smallest amount of snow. I literally was like, oh, no. This is not okay. Then Sunday, there's a blizzard in New York, and I'm just like, what is going? It's not winter yet. It's not supposed to. We're not supposed to have this yet. I was wrong.
Oh, it's winter.
I'm gonna go with Indianapolis. Even though Denver, better defense, they can pick apart Jacoby Brissett, but home team, neither one of these teams any good. They don't want to win.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Colts. They're gonna be playing at home, and for the Broncos, just means you get a better draft pick. You get a better draft pick, so you get a better player. Then I had you pick in this mock draft, we had to say. Then we got the 2 Saturday games. The first one, your Bears at 4-9, getting a big win.
Yeah.
Getting a big win over the Bengals last week.
Yeah, the Bengals aren't very good, but that's all right.
They're going into Detroit to play the 7-6 Lions, who are still kind of in the playoff hunt. Lions are a 5.5-point favorite. I'm going with the Lions. How about you?
Well, I think that the Bears are in a tricky situation because they don't want to do the Packers any favors by making it easier for them with an Aaron Rodgers coming back, potentially.
Let's be honest.
To make their way into the playoffs.
The Packers got to play the Panthers and the Vikings coming up, so their road's not too easy.
Vikings might not care come week 17.
Well, week 16 is when we play.
Oh, week 16. All right. So that's a little bit better.
We play them Christmas Eve.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Hopefully you beat them.
Yep.
So that way it's a nice Christmas Eve. Anyways, I'm gonna go with the GOAT Chicago Bears beating the Detroit Lions because of course they have to.
Then our next one. This one's probably the game to watch of the weekend. Well, second game to watch. There's also a better game to watch between the Patriots and the Steelers. But Chargers and Chiefs, winner wins the division or is in the kind of foot running or the front running to win the division. Chargers are a 1-point favorite, and I am going with Phillip Rivers and the Chargers. That's who I'm going with. Hashtag Chiefs Kingdom.
I think you should because the Chiefs, besides this last
Brandon.
week, they have not given us a reason to think.
Except for last week.
And well, that's what I said. Besides last week,
okay.
In like 5, 6, 7 weeks, they have not given us a reason to think that you should pick them.
Your fantasy running back finally scored last week.
I know, and he was on my bench. I still won, but he was on my bench
in the consolation round. He was on the bench.
Doesn't matter. I'm not last place. That's all that matters. Yep. I'm gonna go with the Chargers on this one. I think they will win this division, and this is gonna kind of solidify it.
Side question for you. This was asked on to Peter King today from Colin Cowherd. I'm gonna ask the same question to you. If you had a Hall of Fame vote when it got to Phillip Rivers, yes or no?
No.
All right.
I had to hesitate. I want to, but
just so you know, the answer Peter King gave was, let's wait 4 years, see how it is, see when the emotions died down.
That's dumb. That's not an answer.
He's like, just like with Kurt Warner, where it's like when he came out, everyone was like, oh, Hall of Famer. And then after 4 years, people are like, I guess, like, not really, like,
Well, this is my test right now because when Brian Urlacher retired, I told my dad he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, and now I'm sitting there like, well, this will tell us if I'm right or I'm wrong. So let's see what happens.
Now let's go into our Sunday games. We've got the Dolphins and the Bills. Dolphins at 6-7 after beating the Patriots.
Yeah,
straight pick here, no line. Who do you got, Miami or Buffalo?
I'm going to take Buffalo because there's no way Miami, after winning that game, is going to win the next one. I mean, that's just one of those fluke games.
Does it snow in Buffalo this week?
Will the snow that they had melt? Probably not. And then more will come.
I'm gonna go with Smoke and Jay Cutler and the Dolphins. I am gonna the Bills. I don't even know who's gonna be their quarterback this week. If it's gonna be Tyrod, if it's gonna be Peterman.
Tyrod wasn't even active last week.
If it's Peterman, expect Xavier Howard to have like 5 picks in this game. He is going to make sure that Peterman gets benched by halftime, like the first time we saw Peterman this season. Then the next one, they almost had their first win, but they didn't.
In a very Cleveland-like way.
The Ravens going into Cleveland, 7-point favorites for the Ravens. Do the Browns get their first win? I say no. Ravens win this one.
I say yes because the Cleveland Browns are going to win a game eventually. They have to.
You've picked Cleveland for like 5 weeks straight, haven't you?
I've been on a hot streak with Cleveland.
You almost had it last week.
I did. I was really close. You notice that we don't really keep track of our records.
Oh, I will. I'm going back. I'm going to go back and keep track.
So it doesn't matter. I can pick Cleveland as much as I want.
Now that
eventually
you said that,
they will win.
Now that you said that, I'm going to go back.
Well, you get an extra. You get 10 points when Cleveland finally wins a game. So I'm going to go with the Cleveland Browns.
Then the next one, we've got the Bengals going into Minnesota to play the Vikings. Vikings 10.5-point favorites.
Yeah,
should be higher. Minnesota all the way.
Since he's going to get embarrassed. If they got embarrassed by the Bears, they'll get embarrassed by Minnesota.
Then we've got the Jets and the Saints in New Orleans. New Orleans a 15-point favorite. I can't go with the Jets in this one. I've got to go with Narlands to get the win at home.
Yeah, I think the 15-point favorite's kind of crazy to me. I think that's a little much.
Really?
Yeah, I think this game is going to be closer than people think. Josh McCown's been looking all right.
As you can tell, I don't agree with you.
Josh McCown's been looking fine. New York's got a pretty decent defense. New Orleans' defense is cooling off a little bit. Their offense is still amazing. I think this game will be closer than people think, but I'm still going to pick New Orleans.
You didn't hear the news about McCown, did you?
Oh, is he hurt?
He's out for the year.
What happened to McCown?
He's on the IR.
When did he get hurt?
He's going to have surgery on his left hand.
I didn't even notice.
He got hurt in the last game.
Oh, well, that's shows
why
how much
the
I
line's
pay
at
attention.
15.
All right, then I'm buying it.
Hackenberg's going to play.
Then double it. Line's at 30. That bums me out. I was really like, why are people dissing McCown right now?
McCown's injured.
That's a bummer, man.
He's going to have surgery on his left hand? Is that what I said? Left hand?
Well, that ruins his nice season. Yeah. He's had a good season.
He has had a good season. I put him like, you haven't heard what happened to McCown,
No,
did you?
I am not paying attention to Josh McCown.
How about the Wentzless Eagles going into the Meadowlands? They are a 1.5 point favorite, so 7.5 points is how a normal person would say it. Mm-hmm. Can Nick Foles keep this team on track against Eli and the Giants?
Well, this is one quarterback I know is hurt right now. It's Carson Wentz.
Because he's on your fantasy team.
Because he's on my fantasy team and he's a good quarterback. You pay attention to this kind of guy. I think that Nick Foles is a good quarterback. I think he can get it done when teams are not at the top level. Mm-hmm. I think he will struggle against playoff teams, but he's not going to struggle against the New York Football Giants, that's for sure. They are a bad team. And I think that I see what you're doing.
That's a special Giants with the win.
No, stop that. It's not.
No, look at it this way.
I don't think you can count as an upset special when you got an injured quarterback.
Look at it this way. If Wentz was in this game, not a chance. I'm pulling out the Patrick Kane.
50-3.
The Giants aren't going to win this game. But with Nick Foles out there, this Giant team played really good. I know that the Cowboys played good as well. This Giant team did play good last week. I think they give the Eagles a run for their money in this game. They're playing basically with house money. This is what you were talking about last week, where guys are out there saying, hey, you know what? I got to play for my job now.
That's right.
And they're showing passion out there now. More than they did with Mecca Don't being out there. I'm going with the Giants. The Giants in an upset.
Wouldn't it be impressive in the worst sense if the Philadelphia Eagles just imploded, lost every game from here out?
I'd be happy. Vikings would be number one. The NFC would literally go through Minnesota the whole way.
Yeah.
Even the Super Bowl.
I think it would give a little bit more to my comparison to the Carolina Panthers for this team.
Maybe a little bit.
Lot of swagger when you're winning. Let's see what happens when it starts going badly.
Next game, we got the Cardinals, Redskins in Washington. Redskins, 4.5 point favorites. I don't know who I'm going to pick in this one, so I'm going to let you go first.
All right, well, there's over 5,000 tickets available for $5.
Another great game.
You're not going to get any change for your $5 this time. I'm going to go with the Arizona Cardinals.
Okay, hit the button.
I think it's a
tough game.
You
hit the button. You got to hit the upset button. Okay.
Real gentle upset. I don't know. I mean, I think that this one, it does have that upset feel to it for me. Mm-hmm. Washington just, sometimes they impress me, sometimes they don't. Nothing really impresses me about Arizona that much, but I think they're an okay enough team to squeak by on the upset.
I guess I'll go with the Redskins. I like them a little bit better. Samaje Perine, Kirk Cousins. I know Larry Fitzgerald is on my fantasy team. However, one, I'm in a pointless matchup for third place, and B, he just passed Randy Moss for reception, so one of my favorite wide receivers. So I'm going to go against you. You're going to go with the Redskins. The reasoning doesn't have to make sense, just needs to make a pick. Then we've got, it was just announced by Aaron Rodgers while we were recording this podcast. He has been medically cleared to play. Don't know if that means he'll start, but we got the Packers who literally need to run the table like they did last time. They got the Panthers this week that beat my Vikings last week. Panthers are 6.5 point favorites. I'm going with Scoot Newton and the Panthers. How about you?
Well, yeah, I'm going to claw up. You know I claw up.
Mark's like, me? Pick the Packers? Get out of here.
I always claw up. But, you know, I definitely think that if Aaron Rodgers actually plays, that's a big deal. I mean, they're going to force that guy to play if he's ready or not, I think. Because otherwise this season's gone. You lose this game, season's done. That's it.
The interesting thing that comes in with this game is their last three. I mentioned that their last three isn't easy. They've got the Panthers this week. Then they've got the Vikings next week. Then you get the Lions on the road. Aaron Rodgers, can beat the Lions, so you're good for one game. Carolina on the road. The Vikings couldn't even do that with a better defense than the Packers, and they got lit up by Scoot and Newton in that offense. And then you got to play the Vikings. The ultimate thing is it comes down to this game. You beat the Panthers, cool. Aaron Rodgers gets a start again. I'd be worried about re-injuring, and I'd be like, you know what? Let Brett Hundley roll with it and see what happens. I honestly don't think that Aaron Rodgers wins you these 3 games. I would sit him. That's why I got the Panthers winning this week, even if Aaron Rodgers starts. Then we got the Texans and the Jaguars. Jaguars 10.5-point favorites. I'm going to say this. Those fans at the Everbank Field that threw the bottle at the Seahawk players and did that stuff, just those fans that did that, you're garbage. Get out of here.
They got banned.
Yeah, you're
they got
garbage.
Banned from the field.
Get out of here. I don't even want you in the vicinity anymore. That was it made me so angry that night because I didn't like the going to rush up into the stands, but there's no reason to throw a bottle at someone. That's all I had to say. Who do you got? Texans, Jaguars.
I totally agree with you on that one, although shit move by Bennett. Absolute shit move to go at the knees.
Oh, yeah. No, totally shit move. Like that besides, but we expect that from Bennett.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate.
Don't we expect that from him?
And I think it's one of those things, too, where you talk about the Seattle Seahawks and how people have kind of gotten sick of the Seattle Seahawks attitude a little bit because it's not charming anymore because they're not this team that wins a lot.
Yeah.
Now they're this team that's not that great anymore, and this defense isn't as amazing.
Now it gets seen as whining.
Yeah, it gets seen as whining, and it gets seen as like a, just a bad attitude, really is what it's coming down to. I don't know. We almost had Malice in the Palace Part 2.
We almost did.
And I would love to see some swift justice come down from the NFL on this one. Give me at least a game. Gronk got a game. I think this can get a game too.
Well, we don't want to get you started on the Gronk suspension again.
For this one, I'm going to take Jacksonville. They're just the better team. But Deshaun Watson not being there, they're the better team by far.
Well, and also, on the other side, you've got Tom Savage, who, how was he allowed to go back into that game and that whole, once I saw him like this,
well,
how
I think
was he allowed?
I
know Bill O'Brien said he didn't see the footage.
Yeah, and he was like, if I had saw the footage, I wouldn't have let him come back.
Of course you're going to say that. What coach would be like, no, I'm not going to fucking let him. Like, all right, let him back in.
If I saw the footage, go out there. Tough it up. Yeah, walk it off.
I'm not saying that Bill O'Brien would let him back in, but come on. What coach is going to say, yeah, I'd let him back in?
He wanted to play.
That's who. An idiot. That's who would do it. I'm going with the Jaguars as well.
All right, this is a good one.
We were talking about the Seahawks. We got the Rams. We got the Seahawks. Seahawks are 1.5-point favorites. Who do you got in Seattle?
Seattle hasn't been as dominant of their home field advantage. So I think Los Angeles has a chance to do it. This I expect to be very back and forth. I feel like if the Philadelphia Eagles couldn't quite. Well, I guess I shouldn't say that because Carson Wentz got hurt
and
at
they
the end
still
of the
won
game.
that game.
I feel like for the LA Rams, this team I once kind of saw as this underdog that can go through and make the splashes. They did a great job against Philadelphia going back and forth, but I think what I really saw in that game was the fact that LA needs help on the defensive side of the ball. And Russell Wilson being at home, Russell Wilson will come at this defense and be able to go at them to where it doesn't necessarily matter that much how many points Jared Goff can put up. I think Russell Wilson will be able to keep up, and I think that they can get this win at home. It's going to be a difficult one for them, that's for sure. But I really do think that Seattle Seahawks probably come away because they kind of need to. They need to win to keep their playoff hopes alive.
I think this is a similar game to the Rams saw last week. They put up a lot of points. That defense lets the Seahawks and Russell Wilson put up more. Seahawks get the win at home. I think it's more than a 2-point victory, though, so I would take Seattle with the 1.5 line. Then we've got the game of the week. I don't know why they just didn't say, hey, let's flex this to the Sunday night game, because who cares about the Raiders and the Cowboys? But 10-3 Patriots, 11-2 Steelers. Patriots are a field goal favorite, and I'll say it once, I'll say it again. This is the perfect storm for New England. You want to know why? Number one, Steelers can't beat the Patriots, just like the Chiefs can't beat the Steelers. Number two, we're going to get pissed off Tom Brady. After Monday, we're getting pissed off Tom Brady, and this could be a blowout.
Yeah, unless he's just an old dude now, and now he's going to be throwing dirt balls at everybody.
Sure. Okay.
He's done. He has hit the cliff. He has fallen over it. Tom Brady is done. Where's that Garoppolo kid? Put him in there. Guess we're stuck with Brian Hoyer.
Brian Hoyer?
Because that's what we got now. Jimmy Garoppolo, we shipped him off. No, I mean, I agree with you. Tom Brady coming out there, he wants to shut people up.
He's going to be pissed off Tom Brady.
He wants to shut people up.
Yeah.
He'll get it done.
Is that
I'm going to pick
Mark,
the Patriots.
He's just going to get done. Nothing more to say. Then you were speaking about Jimmy Garoppolo. He's going to be in Santa Clara, California, at Levi Stadium playing the Titans and Marcus Mariota.
Yeah, he had an okay game this Sunday.
You know what I don't understand? This I don't understand. A team comes in at 8-5 and is a playoff team. They're playing a team that's 3-10 and 1-5 at home. Yet the team that's 3-10 is a 2-point favorite. How is that possible?
Well, because Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean,
how are the 49ers?
Here's the thing that people don't get, and this is like the third time I've said it on this show. When you get a new quarterback like Jimmy Garoppolo, it doesn't matter what happened in the past. It starts over.
Okay.
This is a new team.
I'm still going with the Titans.
I'm picking the Titans too, but sure, this is a new team right now. You know, this is it doesn't matter. Like, it blew my mind that people were like, how could Chicago lose to San Francisco? Because they got a new quarterback.
Well, plus you guys couldn't score.
Plus Chicago's not that good.
Remember, Mark, you shouldn't have cut Robbie Gould. That was the answer.
I guess so. Even though he was shitty in those last 2 years for Chicago.
You shouldn't have let Devin Hester walk.
No. I'm all right with that one. That one worked out okay. But, you know, the San Francisco 49ers, I understand they're on this roll right now, but they beat the Bears, which aren't that good. They beat the Texans, which the Texans are just the Texans. They're not that good either. I would imagine the Tennessee Titans are going to put up a little bit better of a fight than either one of those two teams. At least this team probably has their quarterback. Marcus Mariota says he's not hurt that badly.
Then our last two, we've got the Sunday night game, the Cowboys versus the Raiders. I am going to go with the Cowboys. They're a 3-point favorite. Who you got?
Yeah, sure. This is one of those games where you don't really care that much either. I mean, I like the Cowboys team even without Zeke. I should like the Oakland Raiders, but I don't think they're going to play.
I think we get Zeke back next week.
Yep, after.
We being fans, we get to see Zeke back.
I had to cut him.
I'm not a Cowboy fan.
I had to cut him on my fantasy team because he wasn't. It didn't matter. Championship is this week. Even if I made it, which I didn't. Even if I made it, I wouldn't have been able to use him.
And then the last game we've got Falcons at the Buccaneers. The Falcons are 6.5-point favorites. I'm going with Hot Atlanta. How about you?
I'm going to go with Tampa Bay. They're at home.
Okay. All right.
I know that Mike Evans hasn't been putting it up lately.
They played the Lions tough last week.
They did, and part of that, I think there's a lot of rust coming off right now for Jameis because of the injury.
Still lost.
A little bit of an issue, of course, with apparently coach and quarterback are not getting along. So we might have a new coach coming into Tampa Bay pretty soon. We'll see what happens with that, but I'm going to go with them to kind of ruin Atlanta's chances of getting into the playoffs.
Well, and this is where you guys come in. Let us know what picks do you have, what teams you have winning, what teams you have losing down below in the comment section. Want to thank you guys for watching and listening. A little bit of housekeeping before we end this podcast. Number one, you want a cool, slick shirt like I have on right now? Email us, mostvaluablepodcast@gmail.com. Give us your name, your address, your size. They're $22 a piece. We'll hook you up with the nice MVP t-shirts that we are selling. Number two, you want to help support the channel. You like what we're doing, want to make sure that we keep the lights on each and every day. Check out patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. $10, you could be on a show. We're actually going to have, for the month of December, Patrick and Christian. We're going to have two guys. Patrick's going to be on next week. Christian's going to be on the week after that. So we've got some high some high busy lines going to be on this phone, so you could do that too. Check out patreon.com. And then last but not least, go ahead and give us that 5-star review, that great review on iTunes. If you're listening on iTunes, it's simple. If you haven't done it already, please go ahead and do it. Then do it for the Primetime Podcast, the Fast Break, and the Rick and Johnny Podcast. I want to thank you guys for either watching and or listening. And as always, have a good day, everybody.